Have you ever thought about retiring to a place where the sun shines almost every day? The cost of living is half of the cost of Florida and 60% cheaper than London, England, and this place is safer than any state in the US. It's even safer than Maine. After taking the opinions of numerous locals and other residents, I discovered why Malaga, Axarquia, and the region of Costa del Sol in Spain became such attractive destinations for expat retirees. And today, you'll discover all these reasons. Some of them never crossed my mind. But at the end of this video, I will also tell you an essential aspect to consider if you ever thought about retirement in Spain. So with no further ado, let's jump into the reasons that make Malaga an insanely good cost benefit for retirement abroad. And here is a tip. It's not only about the sun or only about the cost of living. It goes way beyond that. And the first positive aspect we will talk about is proof of that. It is that in 2022, the autonomous community of Andalusia, where Malaga is located, introduced several tax benefits for foreigners and residents. They implemented a 100% rebate on the wealth tax, effectively eliminating this tax for residents and non-residents who have assets in the region. Their idea is to attract more high net worth individuals to establish their residence in Andalusia. Andalusia also reduced other taxes, like inheritance tax and property transfer tax. For example, imagine that you buy a house in Andalusia, and then your children inherit it later. If the house costs less than 1 million euros, they will not pay any inheritance tax. Remember that these incentives are valid only for Andalusia. In other parts of Spain, like Madrid or Barcelona, the tax code is different. The second positive thing about this region is the private healthcare. In the region of Malaga, you'll find high-quality hospitals like the Sanit Hospital, the Orthopedic Clinic Sandals in Benalmádena, and the Vitas Malaga Hospital close to Playa La Caleta. In all these decent private hospitals, medical procedures will cost way less than what we would pay in the US. For example, a glaucoma surgery in Malaga will cost 1,000 euros. This is less than $1,100 US. In the US, the same surgery will cost you between $2,450 to $4,260. That partially explains why Spaniards spend only 1/3 of the value that Americans spend per year on healthcare. The third aspect is also unusual, but often ignored. And as an expatriate myself, I will tell you, this is important, and you might miss it at some point. I'm talking about connectivity. Malaga is very well connected, both by air and rail. Malaga's transportation infrastructure is highly developed. Trains give you easy access to the rest of Spain and Europe. The Malaga Costa del Sol airport is one of the largest in Spain and offers flights to major cities across Europe and even to the US or Canada. Additionally, the high-speed AVE train connects Malaga to Madrid in less than 3 hours. This makes it very convenient for you to visit your family and friends back home, or for them to visit you. The third point I want to tell you is one that expats love most about living in Malaga. It's the friendliness of the local people. This is what a German resident of Malaga told us. Open quote, "Currently, my wife and I live in a small mountain village near Malaga, and it feels like the whole community has welcomed us as a family. People smile and laugh, and there is a great atmosphere. It feels like a totally different world to me, and I really appreciate it." Oh, close quote. But be aware that some Spaniards, especially in this part of the country, have the habit of staring, especially people or things they find different or unusual. Don't take that as an offense. This is what another local told us. Open quote. Anything that is a bit unusual in Spain attracts attention. However, it's not about racism or rudeness. It's simple curiosity. Close quote. That's interesting, right? The next pro of Malaga is one that you probably expect already, the Mediterranean climate. The Mediterranean weather you find in Malaga is known for its mild, wet winters and hot, dry summers. In this climate, winter temperatures usually range from 10 to 15 degrees Celsius, 50 to 59 Fahrenheit, making it quite pleasant compared to other colder regions. Summers are typically hot, with temperatures often reaching above 35 Celsius, 95 degrees Fahrenheit, but during the night it's not that hot. In such climate, spring is a delightful season. It's one of the regions in Europe with the highest amount of sunshine per year, researchers claim that the Mediterranean climate is the best for human life. If you have health issues like asthma, arthritis, or SAD, this weather will greatly help you. It's also an excellent weather for agriculture, which brings us to our next pro. This part of Europe offers exceptional food quality, especially in fresh fruits, milk, and vegetables. Have you ever asked yourself, how is it possible that Spaniards live 84 years on average, while Americans live only 76? Even rich European countries with good healthcare like Germany have a shorter life expectancy than Spain. Part of the reason is that their food is good and healthy. The local markets are filled with vibrant, fresh vegetables such as tomatoes, peppers, and zucchini. These are often grown in nearby farms, ensuring freshness and flavor. Malaga's dairy products, especially those involving milk, are known for their superior taste and quality. Local farms follow strict regulations regarding quality and chemicals used. Organic produce is often more affordable than in other countries, and it's growing considerably in Spain. All that together ensures that Malaga has some of the best food quality in Europe for a good price. This brings us to our next positive aspect, and this is the one that you have been waiting for this entire video: the low cost of living, which is a result of many circumstances. One of them is the excellent public transport. If you live in the city of Malaga, likely you will not need to bear the expenses and costs of having a car. Public transport is good and inexpensive and reaches every part of the city. A monthly bus ticket costs only 19.95 euros or less than $22 for unlimited trips per month. In the US, this is what you would pay to park your car for a single day in Chicago. If you really need a car for some special occasion, to rent one is quite cheap. This is what one person very familiar with Malaga told us. Open quote, "Public transport is really good, even if you want to commute to the smaller cities in Costa del Sol. Also, I don't have to worry about where to park, especially now that it's summer and everyone is heading to the beach." Close quote. Another thing that is very inexpensive in Malaga is to dine out. And I'm not talking about those restaurants in front of the beach. Those are more expensive because they are for tourists. Let's take a local restaurant that is famous among locals because of its good quality. El Rincón de Loda, for example. In this place, you can eat a delicious plate of cod with aioli for only 13.95 euros. Just a digression, cod is my favorite fish and it fits perfectly with aioli. This is less than what you might pay for a bacon cheeseburger from Five Guys if you order it by Uber Eats in the US. And let's be honest, there is no way we can compare a plate of cod with aioli versus a bacon cheeseburger. And I'll not even talk about the quality and good prices of Spanish wine. That is already commonplace. But let's stop comparing Malaga with the US for a moment. By comparing the cost of living in various Spanish cities, I uncovered why Malaga stands out for expats. It's cheaper than Barcelona, cheaper than Madrid, cheaper than Bilbao. Even Pamplona is more expensive than Malaga. Still, if all these things didn't convince you about how inexpensive Malaga is for what it offers, one thing will definitely convince you: the low price of housing. When I first heard about the real estate pricing in Andalusia, I couldn't believe how affordable it was. So I looked for the answer to such a question: what makes the cost of living in Malaga so low compared even to other large Spanish cities? The explanation is that the economic conditions in Malaga are less dynamic compared to other major Spanish cities like Bilbao, Madrid, and Barcelona. The autonomous community of Andalusia has an average salary that is around 25% smaller than in places like Madrid or the Basque Country. Unemployment is also notably high. The unemployment rate in the province of Malaga is 19.1% higher than the national average of 14%, which is already an elevated number. High unemployment means less economic activity and competition for jobs, which keeps wages low and reduces the cost of services. So if you are planning to move to Malaga to make money, this is not a good idea. But if your idea is to go to Malaga to spend money, then things are much better because you will get the best benefit for every euro you spend there. In Malaga, you can find beautiful homes for a fraction of the cost compared to other European cities. Let's say you want to rent a place and your budget is 800 euros per month. For that price, you can rent a 75 square meter, 800 square feet, 3-bedroom apartment located only 10 minutes from the city center and very close to a train station. Now imagine your budget is similar to the rent of an average 2-bedroom apartment in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which nowadays is $1,567, meaning €1,450. What could you rent in Malaga with such a budget? You can rent this place here, with this view and that close to the beach, only 15 meters. And if you're not in the mood to go to the beach, you have access to a fine swimming pool. All this with a public transport station just a few meters away. Now compare this to Pittsburgh and tell me, which choice makes more sense? And remember, while Pittsburgh has an homicide rate of almost 18 murders per 100,000 residents per year, Spain has a homicide rate of 0.6. So you pay less to live in a better climate with better food and 26 times safer. The choice between Malaga and Pittsburgh looks obvious now, right? However, there is one point that anyone should pay attention to when thinking about moving to Spain, and I will make an alert about that in a few minutes. But now, let's go back to the unbelievably attractive housing prices in this part of Spain. Let's say that instead of renting, you want to buy an apartment, and your budget is $200,000 or 185,000 euros. In the US, this is the average price of a home in Montgomery, Alabama, which is one of the cheapest cities in America. In Malaga, this would buy a quite decent place, with 91 square meters, almost 1,000 square feet, 3 bedrooms, and a decent view from the mountains nearby. This all sounds impressive to me, but what if I told you that smaller cities close to Malaga might offer even more for even less? So I asked the locals which are those small cities with exceptionally good cost-benefit, and they gave me 2 names. But before I discover those 2 towns, I would like to ask a small favor. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. The first town locals recommended to me is Rincón de la Victoria, a coastal city that is only 37 minutes from central Malaga by public transport. 37 minutes is less than the average commute in New York or some cities in California. And what is the reward for living in Rincón de la Victoria, a city with 46,000 residents? Splendid beaches a few meters away, more splendid beaches, and calmness for a daily walk without the rush of a large city, and all that paying considerably less. Remember our previous budget of €1,450 per month, the one enough to rent a normal apartment in Pittsburgh? Well, in Rincón de la Victoria, for only €1,100, or less than $1,200, you can rent a 3-bedroom apartment in front of the beach, fully furnished and with a lovely balcony. Despite the small distance to a large city like Malaga, this place kept the atmosphere of a small Spanish city. This is what a Dutch-Spanish couple told us about Rincón de la Victoria. Open quote. We recently bought a house in Rincón because we plan to spend more time in Spain. I see it as a livable Spanish town, great for families, with good restaurants at fair prices, and a long promenade for running and cycling that connects to other towns. It's quieter in winter, which I prefer over towns crowded with tourists. End quote. The biggest downside, according to locals, is that the water supply is getting disrupted quite frequently lately. The next city residents of the region recommended to us is Torremolinos, which is even closer to Malaga, only 24 minutes distant by train. It has less than 70,000 people and is the most popular tourist town in the region called Costa del Sol. So yes, Torremolinos receives a considerable amount of tourists during summer. This has its cons like the crowdedness during high season, but it also has some positive things. Since during the low season the city has a huge empty infrastructure, prices go down drastically. So you can rent an apartment to live there 9 months per year for very discounted prices. For €1,250, $1,350, you can rent a large chalet with 180 square meters, almost 2,000 square feet, and 3 bedrooms, with a spectacular view and very close to the seaside. The thing, however, is that they rent for this incredible price 11 months per year. In the 1 month of the very high season, probably the price is higher. Now, remember that at the beginning of the video, when I said I wanted to make an alert? This alert started with a question I made for locals during the research for this video. The question was, is it easy to integrate into the local community in Malaga? Nearly all of them say Yes, but there was one thing most of them disliked about expat retirees moving there. It is when expats, especially British, form their small ghettos where all restaurants serve full English breakfast and they even don't try to learn the local language. One town that some mentioned that it became somehow of a British ghetto is Benalmádena. And for me, this is just sad. I don't expect tourists to learn Spanish, but if you plan to move anywhere in Andalusia, but especially to small towns that manage to conserve their local lifestyle, culture, and traditions, I beg you to learn the local language. It's really not that hard, and once you begin speaking it, your life and daily interactions with locals will improve so much. In the comments, I'll share a link to a highly effective language learning software I use. Now, Andalusia is not the only good region in Spain for retirement. We ranked cities in other parts of the country, and if you are curious to know them, just check this video here on your left. One of the cities we mentioned is 22% cheaper than Barcelona.